So, I just got back from watching the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and this is the exact kind of film I knew I shouldn't judge objectively. So I won't! Yes, this review is going to be completely biased, completely unfair, and it's going to make a lot of people mad, but I do not care. This is the sequel to the Mario movie, a movie about my favorite media franchise ever, so nothing can kill that bias. I'm going to be excitedly pointing out everything I love about this movie, and yeah, if you are sick of seeing all the negative opinions, then this is the video for you. And if you share one of those negative opinions, don't worry, I'm going to be going over the flaws, but please note that they did not hamper my enjoyment of this movie at all. This movie is clearly geared towards old Nintendo fans or babies or just, the nerds that want to look at all the references and clap at the screen, and I'm exactly that type of Nintendo fan, so get ready for a lot of really cringe-inducing fanboying. But that's who I am. I'm not going to apologize for that. Let's get to the review. From the moment this movie opened, it leaned hard into everything that made the Super Mario Galaxy games feel special. The cosmic visuals, the soft orchestral swells, that quiet sense of loneliness in space. And I immediately stopped caring about whether it worked as a standalone movie, because honestly, I wasn't there for that. I was there for the Mario imagery and references, and this movie knew that. It didn't even try to hide it. Every scene felt like it was designed with fans in mind first, story second. And for me, that worked way more than it probably should have. Every 5 minutes, it threw something at me that made my brain light up like a kid recognizing something they weren't supposed to catch. There were moments where it went beyond just simple references and dipped into deeper cuts too. Things that only really hit if you've spent way too long in these games. Background constellations mirroring galaxy layouts, the tiny little sound effects that were almost buried in the soundtrack. Even certain camera angles that felt lifted straight from the gameplay. It created this constant feeling of deja vu over and over again. And I genuinely don't think I went more than a few minutes without catching some little detail. So, I'll be perfectly honest, that's basically what carried the entire experience for me. Because yeah, the flaws of this movie are very real. The pacing was atrociously bad, everything moved at sonic speed, which was something I hoped they would have fixed from the first movie. It was really messy, especially in the middle when it rushed through what should have been the emotional core of the story. Big moments kind of just happened, and then the movie moved on before they had time to actually land. The character development was inconsistent too. Some characters got just enough attention to remind you that they exist, while others felt like they were only there because fans would expect them to be. If you walked into this movie without knowing the Galaxy games, I honestly think it would feel confusing at best and empty at worst. It relied heavily on you already caring about these worlds, these characters, and these ideas. It didn't really build that connection, it just assumed that you brought that connection with you. But again, personally, I didn't care, not even slightly, because when Rosalina showed up and they started weaving in her story loosely, rushed and definitely simplified, but still weaving it in, I was already completely on board. Was it as emotional or as carefully told as it was in the original game? No, not even close. But just seeing it acknowledged, hearing those familiar elements and recognizing what they were trying to do was enough to carry it for me. And that kind of sums up the whole movie. It's not that it executed everything perfectly, it's that it constantly reminded me of something I already loved, and that was enough. The orchestral music swelling at just the right moments, the visual recreations of iconic locations, the way certain scenes felt like the playable levels all blended together into this experience that felt incredibly personal if you had that connection going in. There were even moments where I could tell the movie expected me to react purely based on recognition. And I did, fully. No resistance. A character would appear, or a theme would start playing, or a setting would come into view, and I'd immediately be invested. Not because the movie built up to it, but because I already had history with it. And yeah, I realize that's not exactly a strength in a traditional sense. If anything, it's probably one of the movie's biggest weaknesses, actually. It leans so heavily on nostalgia and references that it sometimes forgot to stand on its own as a movie. But I'm not going to pretend that that bothered me, because I went into this movie wanting that. I wanted to recognize things. I wanted to feel that little spark every time something happened on screen that I recognized. And that movie delivered constantly, almost aggressively, in a way that felt tailored specifically for people like me. And again, I'll admit it, I am completely biased. This isn't a movie I loved because it was tightly written, or because it told a groundbreaking story, or because it's a good film. I loved it because it was basically 2 hours of I understood that reference, and I never got tired of it. If you're looking for a film that stands strong on its own, something polished, balanced, and accessible to everyone, this probably isn't it. It's messy, uneven, and at times way too reliant on you already being a fan. But if you're the kind of person who hears a few notes from the Galaxy soundtrack and immediately feels something, if seeing a tiny background detail from a 2007 Wii game makes you weirdly emotional, if you spent hours exploring every galaxy just because you didn't want the experience to end, then this movie is going to hit in a way that no better movie could. Objectively, it's flawed, rushed, and overly dependent on nostalgia. But personally, I loved every second of it, and I fully accept that the references did most of the heavy lifting. But what did you think? Did you like the movie, or did you think it was pretty cheap and shallow? You already know my opinion, so let me know yours down in the comments. And thank you for watching. If you liked the review, like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.